Hey.
Hey, it's in the meat locker. Hey, Brett.
Hey.
All right, everybody, we are live. Welcome to another Thursday evening Carnivore Mastermind episode. We're excited to chat with you this evening. So welcome to everybody who's here live with us. And also if you're here in the future time, at some point watching the replay, thanks for clicking on tonight's conversation. I've got an excellent panel with me tonight. We're going to be talking about the topic of the week, which is reflected in the poll of the week that I ask you guys here on my channel. And we'll scroll up to that and just kind of talk about that a little bit. And I wanted to read some of your comments underneath here as well, talking about what you think. So this week we're going to be discussing fad diets and just kind of the idea that sometimes carnivore, low carb, ketovore are called just another fad diet, right? And it's just something that is popular right now, and then it's just going to kind of fizzle out as time goes on. And so I know that gets said a lot, and so I thought that'd be a good thing to talk about in comparison to some of maybe the other trending diets that have come and gone over the years. And so I asked you in the poll this week, what do you think? Do you think that carnivore, low carb / proper human diet movement will continue to grow and become more popular? Or do you think it's kind of one of just those fads that will ultimately lose steam and remain on the fringe? And then we'll discuss it live tonight. And so not too surprisingly, we got, the overwhelming majority of 768 votes this week. So a total of 76% saying that, yes, you think it will continue to grow. Results speak for themselves. And I probably would put myself in that category as well. 12% voted for the second option. I think it will remain fringe for a long time. So maybe it's going to take a while for this to really gain some steam in the mainstream, so to speak. 10% said big food, big pharma will ultimately win, aka the majority will probably stay sick and maybe not try this or find out about this information. And then only 2% said you think it's honestly a fad, just like many other diet trends, and will eventually die off. And so I think that's cool. Most of you are optimistic. I am as well. But we're going to dig into some details about that tonight with our guest panel. So, the first comment here, or the most recent one, Gary Anderson said he's down 180 pounds, A1C down to 4.3, cholesterol is normal. Everyone I tell about carnivore tells me it can't work. But look at these results. And I think, too, results speak for themselves. I don't know how to say your first name, aka Mary. Okay, we'll call you that. I hope it grows so more people can finally heal. So many people having great results, but many people think their illness is not due to a wrong diet and would never give carnivore or even keto a try. Here in Germany, sadly, almost no one has heard of the carnivore movement, and people that have heard about it think it's unhealthy because of animal fat, lack of fiber, or maybe also people don't tell they are carnivore here because they're afraid of what others might think of them. And then she goes on to discuss even more details. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I left the second, or third option there, the big food pharma, because we are up against some pretty powerful, pretty ingrained structural components here when it comes to our health and nutrition information. And so that can be a little bit daunting sometimes when looking at the future of this and how can we really change the world? How can we really change health and people's outcomes and their stories ultimately on a large scale? And so there's lots of great comments under this poll. If you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, lots of people sharing their results. Things that they've benefited from. So that's kind of the topic for tonight. And so welcome everybody. And I'm assuming these are allergies again. I've got this like stuffy, gross, itchy throat that hurts, and I'm such a baby when it comes to it. So I'm going to rely on all of your voices here because I feel like mine's sort of in and out today. But we'll kind of just in spirit of tradition, start clockwise and go around. And if you all would just quickly introduce yourself and your channel and give us your thoughts. Do you think carnivore is just a fad, or do you think that as results continue to pile up, this is actually going to continue to grow and become more mainstream. So we'll start with Anna today.
I do think that it'll get bigger. It'll become a bigger diet. At least I, I hope so. I shouldn't even call it diet, lifestyle. But I do see the argument where people might just be too against it, because I've had family members even who are very stubborn, but I don't want to eliminate it because I've had many family members actually start keto. So I think that, by seeing other people do it, seeing such dramatic changes in people, and not even just their weight, but their health, I think can really impact some people. And I think that's why we're all doing YouTube, is try to help expose people to the diet, maybe change their minds. I know some people are just really resistant to the carnivore diet, like you said, because of all these myths of like, it's going to raise your cholesterol, you're going to have a heart attack, and all those things. So I think, like you said, there's a lot of people who are indoctrinated into just regular diet, or a standard American diet is what I meant to say. And so I do feel that for like a good group of people, it's going to be hard to get through them, or to tell them more about it, or make them want to do it. So I think, I do want it to be mainstream. I do see it getting bigger, but there's that little question there about, like, I shouldn't say little, a big question about, you know, if people are going to trust that it's going to work for them. I think people have this like mentality, like, it's going to work for you, or it works for you, but not for me. And so I think that's a big barrier, I guess, that we have, is to try to start those conversations.
Yeah, I think that's so true. I was doing an interview, a pre-recorded interview yesterday, and we kind of talked about that a little bit, where it's like, thankfully there are the doctors out there now, because if it was kind of just, all of our anecdotal stories, I mean, that's amazing, but it's kind of hard when maybe that is the only basis to go off of sometimes, like, oh, it worked for me, so you should try it. It's like people have a lot of questions, and rightfully so, and so I think it's so great that we have so many medical professionals who have degrees and credentials that are out there speaking on this too, that we can refer people to. That's typically what I will try to do. It's like, here's my story, here's my experience, but if you have a question about vitamin C, or you have a question about cholesterol, like, I can summarize what I've learned, but here you can go listen to this person, who's a qualified medical professional. So thanks for that. Okay, Cami, you're next.
Hi, my name is Cami at Last Day of Normal, and I have a YouTube channel, and I'm doing like a carnivore prepper approach. I can a lot of meat, so if you want to learn how to do some of those things, that's on my channel. I kind of hope that carnivore does become a huge fad. I hope that it just goes crazy, because I think that if people try it, enough people will have such good results that they'll just keep doing it. So if we can turn it into a fad, I would be thrilled. But as far as a fad where, unless it's being supported by media and government and things like that, it would fade away. I don't think that's going to happen. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that people will see, I feel better eating this way. I'm not going to stop. I know I do. And I find it really easy to do. My husband struggles more, but I think it's because he never committed 100%. I think you have to commit 100% for a certain amount of time. Like, let it be your fad. Let it be all that you do for at least 90 days. Go crazy. So I've been reading online and comments, and people are complaining because they're like, oh, carnivore isn't working for me. And I get it. It's frustrating. But the analogy that came to me is that, like, we wouldn't cut off a cast of our broken foot if it didn't cure our UTI. Carnivore doesn't cure every single thing. It's part of getting you to the best place so your body can do the rest. But you may need additional assistance in other modalities of healing. but that doesn't mean carnivore didn't work. Don't throw this good thing out just because you don't achieve your perfect health exactly when you want it to. And the last thing, another reason I want this to become a fad that everyone does. I was at Walmart the other day, which is like Mecca for the unhealthiest people you've ever met. And this lady in the little writing thing, she's like just sitting there and she's in so much pain. And I felt like a battlefield medic. I'm walking around and I have all the tools to heal people, and they're all either like too far gone or they won't let you help them. And I felt just frustrated and really helpless. And I wanted to like save everyone, and I couldn't do anything because you can't just walk up to them and say, I know how to make you better. They don't want to hear it. And even the people that know me and love me, we have conversations, and it's just that vacant dismissal when you're talking and you're like, you're not hearing a word I say. So I hope it becomes a crazy, crazy fad.
I love that. And I actually just pulled up, the definition officially because, I think we all we know when you hear that word what it means, but I like to look up definitions just to kind of really nail it down. And it says an intense and widely shared enthusiasm for something, especially one that's short-lived without basis in the object's qualities, a craze. And then under here, the Wikipedia says, any form of collective behavior that develops within a culture, generation, or social group in which a group of people enthusiastically follow an impulse for a short time period. Fads are objects or behaviors that achieve short-lived popularity but fade away. And so, you can think about that in terms of all kinds of different things, right? And so I think in the context of diet, it, again, is this thing, it's like the newest diet craze, right? This different Jenny Craig or one of these, branded weight loss type diet things that's essentially the same thing. It's caloric restriction, right? But it's just branded a little bit differently, and then everybody thinks, oh, this is going to work this time, right? And so from that perspective, I can see why people think, this is another one of those things, right? Because there is a lot of enthusiasm about it, and there is sort of like a cult. It's sort of like a phenomenon in this group of influencers and people involved in it, like that we are. But I think the catch here is the time frame, right? So it's something normally that's short-lived and then dies away. But we're seeing people now. I mean, I'm sure all of us get comments all the time, I've been doing this diet for multiple years. It's the only thing. I think there was a comment under the poll that said that, like, I've been switching yo-yoing diets for 50 years, and this is the only one I've been able to stay on, and it's actually working for me. And now it's multiple years later, you know what I mean? And so I agree with you, Cami. I hope that it turns into everyone's fad, but then on the other hand, it's like, but it lives on longer than what one of these typical new diet trends would typically go. So, okay, we'll go down to John next.
All right. Hi, I'm John, carnivore teacher on YouTube and other social media platforms. And when Cami talked about walking through Walmart and seeing the woman in the automated, I see them at Disney. I live in Florida. I see them everywhere. I see people in pain. People are wearing their addiction, and it's so obvious. And you just, we don't know them to begin with. How are we supposed to start a conversation with somebody we don't know? But I take a walk every night. I see people during my walk at a park, and I just feel like I want to shout out, I have the secret. I know the answer, guys, and it's so simple. But there's a learning curve, and everybody's at a different point on that timeline of where they're learning when they first start learning. And the knowledge is where the power is. Obviously, I know that's an overused term, but the more you know about nutrition and the more you teach yourself and take in information from these great doctors and other places on the internet, we can learn how our body works, and we understand what this standard American diet food is doing to us, what all of the ingredients that are in there are doing to us. Once we grasp and get and understand the knowledge, then eating properly is like simple. It's easy. It should be second nature because this is our species specific diet. It's the way our ancestors ate for millions of years. You know, we just changed our way of eating the last 150 or 120 years with the Industrial Revolution, refrigeration, transportation, and now we have all this crap that's out there. So it's so hard to realize how easy it is, if that sounds right. It's hard to see how easy it is. It's just single ingredient foods, and that shouldn't be a fad. It shouldn't be called a diet. It's our way of eating. And when people look at it like a diet, then they'll treat it like a diet and they'll go on it to achieve their goal. They'll achieve their goal, and then they'll go off of it and go back to the standard American diet and eat the crap food again and get sick again and get fat again. So I think it will remain a fad when people continue to perceive it as a diet. And we need to realize we have to stop using that form of the word and call it a way of eating if we have to change it, the vernacular, because I have a lot of friends and I see some people, they're like, oh, I'm going to go back on keto because summer's coming and I want to look good in my bathing suit. And they're using it as a tool and then they're going off of it. So in that sense, you know, to them, it's a fad. So if we all can get the message out, and these great doctors too, that it's not a diet, it's the way we are supposed to eat, I think there'll be more success. And they'll listen. And again, they have to, the education's important. They have to learn and be willing to want to change their eating behaviors because they see what food really is for and what it really does for us. Sorry if that was too long.
No, that's great. Thank you. I wholeheartedly agree. I think, and I've been guilty of that myself, calling it, you know, continually calling it the carnivore diet or this is my diet. But in my mindset, I feel like it has changed to like, this is the way I eat. And I've kind of talked about this on my channel too, just like kind of that process of going through that, realizing like, this isn't a temporary thing for me. Because there was still a part of my mindset in the past that was like, oh, I'm going to eat this way to heal. And then I'm going to kind of get to go back to eating a much more varied diet, like not a crap standard American diet, but, you know, I can have vegetables or, you know, fruit or, you know, different things like that. But for me, I don't think that at least again, like not in the foreseeable future, like that's probably not the way I'm going to be able to be at my best. And so really just looking at this, like, this is the way, like you were saying, we're meant to eat this. And yeah, some people can tolerate, you know, some other things in their diet, but there's nothing wrong with just doing carnivore, you know, and to really feel secure in that was when I had a change in how I've felt being able to stick to this. And it's made it much easier too. Cause it's like, hey, this is how it is. And I'm happy that I found it and I'm happy that it's working and I'm feeling better. And so I think that really is like a mindset shift that you have to go through, and learning about nutrition is so helpful. And I'm glad you brought that up because the more I learn, the easier it is to stick to this too. Cause it's like, gosh, plants hate me. You know, I don't know if they're trying to kill everyone, but they sure are trying to kill me. It feels like through my nose or through my GI, whatever it is. So anyway, okay. I think we'll scoot down and grab you, Robin, and then we'll go up to Christy in a round if that works.
Okay, so can you tell me the question? I'm so sorry I'm late. I just got off work. I'm here in Texas for a big go live with my work. So just got out of a meeting and I was running to try to come and meet you guys.
Where in Texas?
In Dallas. And well,
really?
My work is in Flower Mound, but I'm in Dallas. Yes.
Okay. Well, I live in Dallas, so
oh my gosh, I have to see you while I'm here.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
I'll text you after.
Tuesday. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. Yeah, we'll have to meet up for sure. Well, we're talking about just kind of like fad diets. And do you think carnivore is ultimately one of those trendy fad things? It's just going to be popular for a while and then die off? Or do you think results are going to pile up and this is going to really become a big movement?
I think it's going to become a big movement. I mean, I think about what happened with keto, right? So back in the early 2000s, when I tried keto, everybody was looking at me like I had two heads. It was crazy. The thought of it was insane. Like who does that? Who eats all that fat and, so, but now keto is kind of coming to the mainstream, and then there's all this research being done on ketogenic diets. I feel like people are going to look at it strange for a while, but over time, and it may take a long time because we have a whole big money-making machine out here, that is that's lining a lot of people's pockets with our sicknesses. So, but I really do feel like that it will come around, especially with, like the Carnivore Diet documentary, Healing Humanity. And with so many people trying it, I'm just seeing an explosion in people that are trying it, and people aren't even talking about it necessarily. But they're just trying it secretly and seeing like, oh, okay, so this is actually amazing. So I do feel like over time, maybe 10 years or something like that, we'll see that the tides have turned on it, because, but then I did hear carnivore teacher talking about, considering it to be a diet. And when we think about things as a diet, and I think about this a lot because of having a YouTube channel and the way you need to talk about the carnivore diet to match up with what people are looking for, so people are looking for they're looking for carnivore diet. They want to see content about carnivore diet. So that is the way that it is being described. Now, I like to think of it or talk about it as a healing protocol rather than a diet, because literally, I have not lost all the weight that I think I probably need to lose, but my body is like, hey, you're good right here for now, so but all of the ailments and the illnesses and the eczema and IBS and all the different, anxiety and all this stuff that has been addressed or is being addressed through this way of eating tells me that it's more than just a diet. It's not just a diet anymore. And so that's what people need to get the message about, is that, it's not a fad diet. It's not a crash diet. A lot of people do lose a lot of weight on carnivore. I don't know how that happens. Some people lose a lot, some people don't. Different bodies doing different things, but the healing is the most important part in my book. So I do think the tide will turn, as we continue to see people giving it a try and realizing how good they feel on it. And then they go off and then they realize how terrible they feel. And they're like, oh, wait, I remember when I felt really good. And that was when I was eating only meat. So that's what I think will happen. And it may take like 10 years for it to happen.
I agree. I think there's probably definitely a time component in here, and I think about things that, like Dr. Barry's starting if you've all heard about the American Diabetes Society that is going to directly compete with the ADA, and obviously Dr. Baker's company, Rivero, that's, like these things I think are just proof that, like you're saying, like probably in the next decade, we're going to see some major changes, as long as, nothing super crazy happens. But okay, let's go up to Christy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christy. I'm a teacher in Southern California, and my channel is Meeting Wellness. And I just think that it's so funny that we have to wonder if the way that humans have been eating for basically all of our existence is actually the fad. Like the fact that the last 120 years, we sort of changed everything, and now that just seems normal. Is kind of crazy, but at the same time, like that's how I lived the first 47 years of my life, right? Trying to eat low fat, trying to cut my calories, because I thought all that was the right thing to do, because that's what the doctors tell us. As far as will the carnivore diet continue to grow, I think that it will. But I also think that it will be very slow, because I know that people have seen me, right? All the people in my life that I know in real life, they've seen me, and has one person even changed or tried it? No. No, they have not. They're perfectly happy having whatever issues they're having, and going to the doctor and getting their high blood pressure medicine, or their, diabetes medication, or whatever that is. I really don't think that they attribute it to diet. And I also believe that they're just watching for the day when I have my heart attack, I feel. So although they don't outwardly make fun of me or say, you're crazy, they don't say that kind of stuff to me. I mean, I've had in-depth conversations that I always let them start, because they don't want to hear me preach at them for sure. But if they ask me, in-depth conversations, I've answered, many questions, to the best of my ability, with my YouTube, education that I've gotten over the last several months. And they always come back at me with, well, what about fiber, and what about cholesterol? And since I am a lean mass hyperresponder, and they don't believe that my LDL is an endorsement for this way of eating, even though my mental health issues are so much better. My energy is so much better. My skin is so much better. My inflammation is gone, and all of that. So I think that, people want to come at this. I wholeheartely agree with Robin that if a lot of people come to this for the weight loss, and then if they don't get the weight loss, they're like, I'm out. It didn't work for me. But I'm here to say, like, I didn't really have a lot of weight to lose. My weight's kind of gone up and down. It's gone both ways, but the healing that I've experienced is why I stay here. And I also I don't feel like I'm on a diet, and it's given me such food freedom to not have to count things. So I hope that people try it. I hope that they do, because if they do, I feel that they'll have, some success with it. Even if it's not weight loss. Like, I hope they open their minds up to the fact that it's a health optimization way of eating, and not just a weight loss kind of bad thing. So,
Yeah, I think that's so good, because I know so many people come to it for weight loss, right? And I just had a comment, I think, on my Tuesday live stream, where somebody was asking about, said that they gained, and I believe it was a woman, that she had gained weight on carnivore, and was, trying to be in a deficit to lose that weight, but then was not sleeping very well when she was in that deficit. And so, we kind of talked through that a little bit. And that is one thing that we're realizing, right? Is that this is a weight optimization diet, and it's a healing first diet. And the weight loss is going to be secondary to whatever healing needs to take place. Our bodies need to feel safe and nourished, and like out of that scarcity mode of restriction and low fat, and, this yo-yo, putting it on and losing it over decades and things like that. And so that's perfectly normal to gain some weight. I think we hear that a lot. And I've had similar, I gained some weight in the beginning. And now I'm doing a little bit more fasting, because I think I have started to heal some things. My hormones are a lot better. And so I can tolerate that more. And then I'm kind of dropping a little bit of the, excess. So yeah, I think it's so powerful. And again, it's sort of that mindset shift, right? We're not looking at this as just a trend to drop some weight real quick. It's like, we have long-term goals. This is about long-term health and feeling our best, like you were saying, all these other benefits, mental health wise, and things that matter so much too. So awesome. Okay, Brett, your turn.
All right. Hey, I'm Brett. Who's Your Carnivore? That's the name of my YouTube channel. I've been carnivore for just over a year, and reverse type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, aches and pains, all kinds of stuff, feeling good, losing weight, and the weight loss is coming last. I've experienced most of my healing, and then, the weight loss is coming kind of after. But as far as the fad thing, I call myself a carnivore. I don't say I do the carnivore diet really per se, just like vegans don't say they do the vegan diet. They just say that they're vegan. So I kind of try to adopt that kind of language. I think it'll help our cause. But really the thing that we're battling out there is 70 years of marketing, advertising, education, by the companies, the schools teaching doctors, the Ansel Keys way of eating, the low fat, low cholesterol, is just so ingrained. Um, we're definitely in a grassroots uphill battle, but I believe we're winning, and we're winning every day. There's more YouTube channels coming out every day. There's more talk on the streets about it. More people have heard of it today than say even a year or 6 months ago. I'm not getting quite as many weird looks when I bring it up to people, because I think a lot of the people around me know what I'm doing and they're kind of familiar with it now. But, our main problem is we just got to keep getting that message out. Because you got to remember, there's vegans in the White House. There's vegans in Congress. There's vegans at the FDA. There's vegans at the World Health Organization. There's vegans everywhere pushing their, idea of what's healthy onto the world. And you got to admit, they're doing a hell of a job at it. They're getting movies on Netflix. They're getting, all kinds of things. So, we just got to keep fighting the good fight, keep pushing our proper human diet, supporting these doctors, and keep putting our positive message out there. And I think our message is the best one, because when people try it, they have real results, and it doesn't take long. Like for type 2 diabetes, I've seen people get off their medications within 30 days. They have to start whittling down their insulin, or they have to get off their metformin. So it doesn't take long. We just have to convince people to give it a try. And I think most people that try it, will, with some guidance, hopefully they'll stick with it. But so we just we have to keep fighting that good fight.
I agree. It's definitely an uphill battle, I think, with sort of the infiltration of how infiltrated the plant-based narrative is into kind of all sectors here. And so I keep thinking of this point, and so I had to look it up, because I wasn't sure if I had it right, but let's see. Let me bring it up. So there's Dr. Berry told me about this, and I couldn't ever remember if it was 20 or 25%, but basically it's like 25. It really only takes 25% of a social network changing something to actually make a significant change in kind of what the entire group does. And I thought that was so interesting, because I would have thought, oh, it takes 50% or 51%, right, of a group to really like turn the tide in another direction. But according to, the Dunbar rule or whatever that is, it doesn't. So I don't know how well that will play out in our situation, but just to
So that would be like 37 people. If you have 150, you need 37 to be 25% of that.
right. And so like that amount of people has enough impact and influence to really influence the whole group. And so I thought that was super cool, because that's a little bit less intimidating, right? Like, hey, what if 25% of the population, which is still a huge number, but let's say 25% of the diabetic population gets off their insulin by eating this way and doesn't have to, rely on the system anymore. That's huge, and that might, again, I think I'm seeing some comments go by, sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before you really decide, like, hey, I've been through all of this. I've tried everything. I've done all their advice, and I'm still sick. That's kind of, where I was at many points. And I'm willing to try anything to feel better. And then that's when people find this. And so I think there's all kinds of ways that this can definitely grow. And you all brought up lots of great points. So we have a few questions here. And this was a comment. And then there's a question that relates right to it after. So, Paul's saying, I think the price of meat and fat will be prohibitive to most. And that is Papa Carnivore's question. What are each of our thoughts on the cost of doing this versus sad or vegan or vegetarian diet? So we can go around the circle again, and you can all give your thoughts here. We'll start with Anna and JT.
I mean, I think when you cut off all the other stuff for me and for GT, I think it cut out the cost a lot. Like, I think we pay pretty comparable to what we were paying, but we're having a lot more junk in our diet.
Except we're healthier now.
Yes, right.
So
So I don't necessarily think that it has to be so expensive. And two, like, a lot of people focus on steak. And yeah, it's more expensive, but there's other more affordable options that you can do, like ground beef and things. That's not as expensive as a steak is. So
eggs.
Yeah, eggs. Yeah,
Butter,
there's ways to make it affordable for yourself if you need to. So that's my perspective, is it just doesn't have to cost as much as you might think it will. And I actually find as I keep going on the carnivore diet, I eat less. So you may even find that as you keep going, it may be less expensive.
Yeah, you got to buy the groceries regardless. I mean, whether you're on vegan, vegetarian,
Right.
no matter what diet you're on, unless you're on the air diet, but you got to buy your groceries regardless. So you might as well look at it as like you're not spending money. It's an investment in your health. And if you're spending that money anyways, I'd rather put that money down on something that's going to help me heal and feel good for the long run. So it's like an investment rather than a cost or
Yeah.
something we're spending on.
Yeah, and you're investing in your health. Like, without health, there's nothing else in life. If you pass away from an illness, it's over. So I think in order to extend our life, it's an investment, like JT said.
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome. Cami, thoughts?
I find this to be way cheaper. If I can get hamburger on sale, I can buy as much as I will eat in 2 months, put it in my freezer, and spend just so much less than I was. Like, we were up at like $1,200 a month sometimes, and I can spend so much less just on meat. And I prefer hamburgers, so it's not bothering me at all. And then I'm learning ways to preserve that meat other than just the freezer, so that I can have variety and I don't have to put money into the freezers. There's cheaper and cheaper and cheaper ways. And then my co-pays and my medications and everything is going down. And I love how Callie Means, he talks about how our medical spendings cards, we should be able to get that money, that tax-free money, and pay for these foods as if they were medicine. That would make it even super cheaper. I think it's cheaper. I think it's way cheaper and better.
Awesome. John?
Well, I don't want to sound redundant, but yes, it's cheaper for sure. I looked at food before as I want it. I want it. I want it to look nice, and I want something that tastes good, and I want to eat frequently. And I didn't really think about. I just spent the money. And now I look at food as nutrition. I look at my meat and think this has protein, it has fatty acids, it has no carbs. This is going to nourish me. It's satiating me. I'm not going to eat again until the next day or the next meal. I don't snack. So I was spending all my money on snacks and multiple meals, 3 meals a day and snacks in between all of those meals. So, yes, I spend a lot of money on steak, but I don't have to. I can buy ground beef and eggs, which is probably one of my favorite meals, is ground beef with runny egg yolks mixed in there with salt. It's so delicious. And you could put some cheese in there and make it cheesy. All of that's very affordable. So when you look at, if we were to do a shopping cart comparison with 2 shopping carts with what I ate before and what I eat today, I know it would be cheaper. And I'm not going to the store multiple times during the week to replenish my snacks and my junk. I bought another freezer from my garage. I never had this other freezer that everybody else has. So I bought another freezer. I stocked that sucker up with all these great meats. When prime rib was on sale around Thanksgiving and Christmas time, there were these great sales. You take advantage of sales, you buy the stuff, and you put it in that deep freeze. And there's so many things that you can do, and I learn from everybody else what you can do with these wonderful meats, and it's delicious. So I know I'm saving money for sure. It shows, and like the other people said too, prescription medicines and going to the doctor and aches and pains and colds and cold medicine, all of that evaporates when you get healthy. So your health is your wealth, and you're saving money. There are no net negatives to shopping with Carnivore. It's just all good stuff, and it's affordable. You just have to look for sales too, and you don't have to eat filet mignon and prime rib. You can find that stuff on sale at certain times, and then you can buy the cheaper stuff. I do eggs every day, ground beef almost every day, staple, love it. So that's my 2 cents.
Awesome. Robin?
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a different opinion on this. I really feel like meat prices have skyrocketed over the last couple of years. So I usually buy beef from a local rancher, and I just have one example that's like so crazy. When I first started buying that beef from there, they were selling their oxtail like nobody was buying them. They were selling it to me for $2 a pound. And I was like, oh my gosh. Now today I'm paying about $10 a pound. So everything has gone up in price in general. As far as meat is concerned, I do agree that sometimes you can catch the sales, but honestly, I eat a lot of meat from my local rancher, and the store meat doesn't taste that good to me. It just is not as good. It's a process, and it is an expense to go and buy beef from a farmer, a cattle rancher. And you're buying a huge quantity. So we usually split it up between 4 or 5 people in the family. But with me eating beef every day, it is expensive to me. So if I try to go, the only one meat that I can get, like I like the Costco, you buy the whole prime rib and have them slice it at, not Costco, Sam's Club. And I really like their ribeyes like that. It's really tasty, good meat. It tastes good. But when I go to the store typically and buy meat after I've eaten my farm meat, it doesn't taste as good to me. And it's definitely, and prices have gone up everywhere. So I would say that if you are eating only meat and you're shopping the way you usually do, it would be cheaper because you're not buying all the sides, and you're not buying a bag of potatoes, and you're not buying all these vegetables that are going to sit in the refrigerator and rot and go to waste. I never could get through vegetables. They always would go bad. And it was such a bummer because you're just wasting money buying that stuff. It just sits in the refrigerator and rots. So, and then, like the Starbucks coffees, the lattes, and all the fun drinks and stuff, that stuff ends up adding up to a lot of money. Those drinks are like almost $10 a piece, I think. Of course, I haven't had one in over a year. So, so I do find that everything has gone up in price. Everything is a lot more expensive. From meat to everything else too has gone up in price. And and eating meat. But if you're not eating all the other stuff and you're buying your meat on sale, then you can definitely get some good bargains on it. I did buy those. I went to one of my local grocery stores and I bought the rib roasts on sale for like $6.99 a pound, which I thought is so amazing. But the meat was gross. It did not taste, it just was not good. So maybe it's the quality of meat that they get at that store. And so I ended up like, I mean, I ate them because of course I paid my money for them, but they just were not delicious. So that matters to me. And I really like the meat that I get from my local rancher.
Yeah, I agree. That's definitely my goal eventually, is to get to that point where I'm getting everything locally, and, supporting that, because I think that's, I think step one, just get started, get whatever you can afford, wherever you have to get it from, however you need to do it to get your health back. And then, I think probably most of us, it's our goal to eventually kind of go in that direction. I know, Christy, you're getting a bulk order here soon, aren't you? What's your take on this?
Yes. So I can't tell you the price per pound. I know it's like just under $3 a pound, but then you have to pay the butcher fees on top of that too. And I don't know how much my particular cow is going to weigh. But once we get all of that information, rest assured, I will make a video. And I ordered a half a cow from a local rancher, and I'm splitting that. Like, I don't have room I do have an extra freezer like John was talking about. That's like the best purchase. My husband got that for me before I even went carnivore. And at first I was like, what is this? What kind of gift is this? And now I'm like, it's the best gift he ever got me. Because like everyone else, I have been looking for, all the sales, but yes, I've had an order for half a cow. It's coming in June, so next month, and I'm splitting that with my mom and brother. So we're going in together. We're going to have to fight over the picanha because no, I'm going to win. It's all going to be mine. Just kidding. But, we'll have to fight over those cuts. And I know that, a lot of that's going to be ground beef. But like John said, there's so many good ways to cook it. And I saw Nia giving the thumbs up on the ground beef with the runny egg yolks and the salt. I mean, hello. Totally delicious. I'm excited to get all that fat, because I haven't ever done the whole fat trimmings thing. So when you buy a cow like that, you have the option of like taking that stuff or not. You have the option, you can get some organ meat ground up into the ground beef if you want. So I'm definitely going to do some of that. So it's a lot more customizable. And I think what I feel and think is that the price is going to be comparable per pound to like ground beef, but like, although it will be a lot of ground beef, there will also be ribeyes. There will also be, all the things. Right. And so I'm very excited about it. Otherwise, like everyone else said, I look for the sales. I agree with Robin that meat has gone up in price, but so has everything else. So I can still find ribeyes for $6.99 a pound. And when they go on sale for $6.99 a pound, you can bet that my garage freezer is full of those. Picanha is my absolute favorite, and that is usually around $8 a pound all the time. I don't have to wait for a sale. So that is just delicious and just one of my favorite cuts. I like it as much as ribeye. The other thing that I do all the time now is my grocery store always has what they call bacon ends and pieces. So it's like whatever, like they make all the pretty pieces that they sell for $7 a pound or whatever. And then what's left is like these weird looking things that are still bacon. It tastes exactly the same. And they're $2.99 a pound all the time, or sometimes they'll be on sale. Like last time they went on sale for $1.99 a pound, and I bought 10 pounds and just froze it. So if I'm not eating picanha or sale ribeye, then I'm eating bacon and eggs, which is absolutely delicious. And I do feel like overall I am saving money because not on carnivore, I had no energy. And I'm a teacher. And so I'd spend all my energy over there in my classroom, and then I'd have no energy. So then it would be, let's hit the drive-through. Well, that's really expensive, really expensive. That really adds up, for a family of 4, which is what we have over here. So even though myself and my son is, I would say, ketovore, are eating this way, overall, our grocery bill has gone down just because of I'm only eating 2 meals a day instead of multiple little snacks throughout the day. And like I said, all the sales and things that I shop for and stocking up and putting things in the freezer. So that's my take.
Excellent. All right, Brett, and give us your thoughts. And then this question was directed specifically to you. So if you want to answer that one as well, you can go ahead.
I believe, eating carnivore is less expensive, especially, when you shop the sales, because nobody wants to pay full price for anything. But I think about all the food that I used to throw away. I can hardly remember the last time I had to use my garbage disposal to, put, vegetables or whatever uneaten potatoes or whatever down the garbage disposal. So if you think about just the wastefulness of the way we used to eat compared to now, I mean, I can't remember the last piece of meat I threw out. I mean, it all gets eaten here. Even the bones. I save the bones and make bone broth. So it's really the most efficient way of buying food and consuming all the food that you bring home. I mean, the only things I throw away are wrappers. That's my trash can's full of wrappers. It's not full of food. So that's kind of my take on it, on top of what everybody else said, which is right on point. Hit the sales, be smart, and and like what Christy just said, she only eats twice a day. So most people coming into this are eating 4 to 6 times a day on average, and we're mostly eating 3 times, most of us probably 2 times a day. Some of us maybe 1 time a day. And it gets pretty cheap when you're only eating 1 time a day. So not bad at all. So Paulette, how long did it take for your glucose to normalize after carnivore? That's a good question. It was when I first just started and was recognizing my sugars were getting out of control again. They were in the kind of low 200s, 180s, 190s. And after, I don't know, a week or so, they came down into like the 150s. And then it probably took a couple months of healing after that before they would get above 120, like after a meal or right when I first woke up and had the dawn phenomenon. But I would say where they got down into a healthy range, probably 2 to 3 months. 2 to 3 months. Now, all of us are a little different. We're in different places in either the damage that we've done to our endocrine system or, the amount of, healing that we require. Some require more, some less. But I know that if I didn't start this a year ago, I would probably be on insulin by now. So, and going back to what we started off with, one of the main kind of points that carnivore is great for is for helping with type 2 diabetes. And that's really rampant in our society and around the world right now. So if someone's looking for a focus to push on carnivore, that's a good one.
Agreed. Awesome. Thank you for answering that. Okay. We have a question from Darth Carnivore. How do carnivores gain a foothold with the younger generations? Most carnivores I watch are my age and old. Yeah, I think this is an interesting question because I guess when I look at like the statistics on my channel, and the age group and things like that. It is definitely like my age group. I'm in my late 30s and older typically for the majority. There's a few younger, you know, small percentage that's younger, but it does seem, at least from my data as well, that there's, you know, not as many from the younger generation that are super interested in this topic. So my opinion is how we're raising our kids. I mean, that's something we have direct control over, right? And I think, you know, several of us have kids right now in all different age ranges and or grandkids. And so it's, you know, doing our best to influence the people that we have access to, you know, in a way that's not turning people off, right? Or because it can be very easy to kind of get super passionate about this. I know I've done this in the past, and then kind of just be a little too strong with the message, you know, or a little too fiery about it. And sometimes it has the opposite effect than what I wished it would have had. And so that's kind of my first thought. And then my other thought is, you know, the types of platforms. Yes, honey, just a second. Okay. I know in general, like, I don't know a whole lot about these platforms, but I know, like, you know, TikTok and some of these other short form content platforms are more popular with different age groups. And so that might be something that, you know, I'm terrible at, because I'm like just getting onto Instagram now. Like, that's how, you know, bad I am. But, you know, maybe starting to create more short form content, maybe starting to get onto these other platforms where the younger people are hanging out more and creating content that speaks to them and their needs and their, you know, the things that they might be dealing with, would be a way to you know, positively influence the younger generation. But I'll just kind of open it up. So what do y'all think?
So if you guys have not seen Grace Price, I wouldn't say that she's straight up promoting carnivore per se, but she's a high school student and she just finished up her senior project. And I believe it's a documentary talking about that cancer is a foodborne illness. And in that she interviewed, like, you know, all the people, Dr. Seafried and all of those people. And she's definitely talking about eating whole, real foods. She's very worried about her generation eating all the processed garbage. So she's totally changed her diet. And even she being, I think, 17 or so years old, like, nobody listens to her. Nobody her own age listens to her, because they just love eating whatever, you know, drinking their energy drinks and eating all the stuff that high schoolers are known for eating. You know, but she's working on it. And I put a link on I can't post to all your comments there, but on my channel, I put a link to her interview with Dr. Ovadia. So she interviewed with Dr. Ovadia, and she has a few others out there, and she's on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, she's just one, you know, talking about this, you know, just very young, the brand new generation, right? Just about to go to adulthood. She's, you know, researched into this, and I can't wait to see. I hope that whatever she does after she graduates high school, that she continues on this track, you know, and continues on this topic, and just, you know, keeps going, because I agree, we do need, you know, younger people involved with this. And then, you know, like I said, my own son, he's eating this way now, and he stuck with it for 3 months. I hope that he continues, but I know he sees the benefit for his ADHD, because that's why we did it. And I know that's why he's sticking to it. But when you're young and you can pretty much eat anything and get away with it because you're metabolically healthy and you don't necessarily feel all those negative effects, you know, I think it's tricky. So
this is how I gain a foothold with the younger generations. Have you guys tried one of these?
Looks like a giant pork rind. What is
a pork rind? That's like
huge.
Why is it so big?
It's big. It's half the size of my son, but I give it to him, and then he thinks carnivore is just even more fun than it is.
That's great.
Where do you get that?
Hold on, let me grab the bag.
They got them at Piggly Wiggly. I just saw them today, and so they call them pork rind grande.
I'll be buying those.
Indeed, they are.
Make sure they're fried in their own rendered pork fat, though.
I
Read
mean,
the
Oh my gosh,
ingredients.
I'm gonna have to find those.
They're giant, though. I thought they were.
Because I do, we call them chips and creams for my little one, and it's pork rinds with cream cheese spread on there.
Cool.
And she loves that for a snack. But I think that'd be so funny to just give her one of those with cream cheese all over it and be like, here you go.
I would just make it fun because kids
That'd
like
be
doing
like-
fun stuff. So make
And
it
you
fun.
can literally see William loves it. So he's a
That's
pork
funny.
rind.
My cat loves pork rinds. She will chase them across the room. She loves them.
That's how our dogs are too. Anytime William has one, he's like going back and forth, and they're just following him. He loves it.
Okay, so I know we're at the hour, and Robin had to go back to work, so she had to drop out. We do have a few other questions that I'll stick around and answer and talk about if anyone else can. But does anyone have to go at this time? Now's your chance.
I'm gonna head out, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on. I hope I can come on again. So
Yeah,
great to
love
see you
have you
guys,
back.
and thank you
Thanks,
so
John.
much.
Okay. So everybody else, we're good? Okay. So thanks, Darth, for that question. That was a good one. Melts says, my one downfall with carnivore is the hair loss. I didn't have much to begin with. And I don't know, maybe you're joking, but I think I just wanted to touch on that because I think I hear that sometimes too when people make the transition, really to any drastic diet transition. You can experience some hair loss, but I think maybe Christy, you've had experience with this. And so I just thought if anybody wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, I'll comment. So I think that I've heard Dr. Barry and some others, and this was definitely my experience, that anytime you drastically change your diet, no matter what diet, there's the chance that your hair could fall out because your body's like, what the heck, And then hair is like not very required, for life. And so those follicles up there will just kind of shut off. That hair will shed. But now it's totally growing back. So I've got all these little baby hairs anywhere from brand new to a couple inches long. And although they are quite annoying right now, I'm waiting for my hair to fill back in. So I've been carnivore since last June, so almost a year. And first it was falling out quite a lot, but now it's like the falling out has totally stopped, and it's definitely filling back in. So that's been my experience with that.
And maybe support your body with iodine.
Yes, I definitely take iodine every morning.
Yeah, I haven't noticed any change really. I mean, I've always kind of been a shedder. I feel like I've always shed quite a bit of hair, and sometimes I'm like, how do I have the hair that I do, because so much of it. But that's kind of always been that way. And I have to say recently I've noticed less shedding, but I don't know if that's really diet related or if it's just something completely unrelated. But because normally it's like every other day I got to kind of clean out my brush and like empty, pull all the shedded hair out. But I'm like, well, maybe I'm retaining more hair now, perhaps, than before. Okay. Eat My Shorts says, is it possibly cheaper to buy a cow and split it with a few other families? I think Robin commented on that she splits hers up. And I would say, yes, splitting it's definitely going to save you all individually some money, and you're all supporting local. And I'd like to do that with some other, because I know there's so many of us not necessarily Dallas area, but Texas. I'm like, are there any Texas people that want to go in on like a whole cow with me? Because I only have, I don't know how many cubic feet, maybe 9 cubic feet or something like that in my chest freezer. So, I don't think I could even fit a half of a cow in there, a whole half, but like maybe a quarter or an eighth or something. It's like maybe we could get 8 of us and all meet up somewhere and pick it up, you know what I mean, and just start there.
Your other
What do
option
y'all
is
think?
to get a lamb instead of a cow, because that's going to come out to be like 40 to 50 pounds of meat instead of a couple hundred. And there's a lot
That's a
of
good
meat
idea.
sheep out there as well that are good.
That's a good point. And I do like lamb. I've tried some when I tried to go back to lion, or I did go back to lion for a little while. And I thought I really do like that. So that wouldn't be a bad idea either. Okay. Ray says or asks, in going carnivore, would you say it's the fat that counts or the protein? This is sort of the the big debate, right? What do y'all think?
I would say the fat is more important. Of course, protein definitely plays a role, but I noticed in myself, if like when I have a ribeye, I cut off all the fat pieces, but I fry them in the air fryer after, and I notice I'm still hungry until I have the fat. Um, and I feel like too, as you keep going along and you notice like, oh, I'm maybe not getting enough fat or something like that. I feel like the fat is super important, like the ratio of fat that you have, and it might be different for each person, but I really noticed that it helps provide some satisfaction when I'm eating. You know, if I don't have that and I just eat the ribeye without the fat, I notice I'm still hungry. So I think it counts a little bit more.
I would also chime in to say that fat, when you're fat adapted and you're not eating carbs, that means you're making ketones from the fat. The protein is used for building blocks like building muscle and things like that. But if you're not eating enough fat, you know, you're not getting that readily available energy to your body. Like it's really, really hard for your body to break down protein for energy. So it's important that you're eating enough. And if I don't get enough fat, I'll start craving it. Like I'll crave butter if I haven't eaten enough fat in a day or two.
You know, and in typical fashion, people, you know, we've always been taught to eat leaner meats, you know, chicken breasts and sirloin and things like that. So when a lot of people go carnivore, they go too high on the protein and not enough fat. And that's where they kind of stumble. So yeah, fat is more important. You know, concentrate on your fattier cuts, you know, your ribeye, chicken thighs, chicken wings, and also make sure you're eating a good fat. You know, you're getting rid of those vegetable oils, and you're eating good quality butter, bacon fat, and start saving your bacon fat and saving your fat off of your hamburgers if you don't eat it right along with the hamburger. And use that fat to fry other meats in, and keep that fat content up there, and you'll do well. You'll find that you'll start to want it more as you have it more.
Yeah, I can second that. I up my fat significantly, and it feels way better, and I get super high ketone numbers now when I'm fasting, even for like 12 hours. I did my blood sugar and ketones live on Tuesday with you guys, and I think I was only like 12 or 13 hours fasted, and my glucose was 84, which is a little high for me. But it was only 12 hours, but my ketones were 3.1 still in that, you know, so it's like almost, I'm sure that's a 3.0 or lower GKI. So once you really get fat adapted, it's like, dang, this is awesome. You know what I mean? Because when you just don't, like, I don't think I was truly fat adapted until maybe, what is it now? Mid-April, or it's May now. Oh my gosh. Maybe only a couple months ago, you know, like after I had that sleep thing in February, and just I struggled with energy. We have a question related to that, so maybe I'll just save this for that. But it's, yeah, you'll know it when you've got enough fat and when you don't, I think, because you can feel it. You can feel the difference. Okay, Jackie's Keto Journey. Anyone with an egg white sensitivity, ideas for what to do with the whites other than the trash? I think I had so many last year, they sent me around to the ER, maybe? I hope not the ER. But I'm golden with the yolks. Yeah, I currently only do yolks. I don't know for sure if I have a specific sensitivity to the whites, but I just based off of my intuition, I don't think the whites look appetizing. They don't sound good to me at all, but the yolks are just like I some days I eat a dozen, you guys, right now. Like I eat at least 6 a day. Um and like John Carnivore Teacher was saying, like kind of cooked medium, half runny, half cooked over, a burger with some bacon. It's like, this is literally divine. And so currently what I do with the whites is because my other family members eat full, regular eggs with both components. So the ones that I save all of my whites in a jar or a bag in the fridge, and then I'm dehydrating them and grinding them. And I'm about to get this video together this week to publish for exactly how I do it. But I'm turning it into like essentially the egg white protein powder that you can buy on Amazon for different like carnivore bread recipes and things like that. Or you could just store this, like vacuum seal it and store it for long-term food storage. Obviously, if I was going to use it for food storage, I'd want the yolks in there as well. But for recipes and things like that, it calls for just that egg white powder. So that's what I'm turning it into currently. And so it's definitely going to use, which is cool. What do y'all think?
I'm doing the same thing with the egg whites. I'm going to freeze dry them.
Oh,
I'm going to
cool.
freeze dry them.
Okay.
I never had egg whites send me running to the restroom. But I do think that they give me too much protein. So I try to take a couple out when I have eggs, and just try to have more yolks than I have egg whites. And then a lot of times I'll just cook up the egg whites and I'll give them to the dogs, and they love them. They gobble it up.
We cooked up our egg whites once for the dogs, and the smell alone of the egg whites had me running to the bathroom. So, yeah, and the dogs just turned their nose up on it. They were like, "What is this?" So, egg whites, those are good tips because we really didn't know. And then I started just flushing it right down the toilet. So I appreciate those tips.
Well, now I'm going to have to try them with Pixel and see if she'll eat those egg whites, you guys.
Your house, it ain't even worth.
My cats won't eat eggs cooked, raw, nothing. Not at all.
Then if my dog farts, then I have to smell egg white farts. So I just try to avoid it. Keep them carnivore, at least with meat,
That's a great point, though. Do you think that that's where the flatulence comes from, is the whites maybe? Because I don't get that. I mean, I haven't had that at all, just eating the yolks. But I know like sometimes in the past, like, that would happen but I was eating a mixed diet. So maybe it was just eating it with other foods or something, like the other foods were contributing, but
I wonder if it's a histamine thing or something.
It could be.
But yeah, that's just our experience with the egg whites. Not a big fan unless we can find something good to do with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to try some of those baking recipes. Okay, this one is the one about energy. This is the last one I have starred. So if anybody saw anything else that you want to comment on, let me know. But Mona says, I'm on day 3 of carnivore and feel like absolute garbage, tired and lethargic. Please tell me these symptoms go away. And after how long do things get better? What do y'all think? I have about a 6-month period where I kind of not felt like absolute garbage, but I had energy issues for sure.
Right.
So I would say, go ahead, Brett.
Oh, I was gonna to tell Mona there is light at the end of the tunnel. You'll get through it. If you're tired and lethargic, it sounds to me like an electrolyte issue. Maybe you're not getting enough salt or potassium or magnesium. And if you get to where you feel bad, if you have a jar of pickles around, maybe drink some pickle juice. A lot of people say that kind of peps them up when their electrolytes are down. But, just keep at it. 90 days, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. I'm not sure what you're eating on carnivore. If you're still eating seed oils or, how clean of a diet that you're eating, but, just keep eating quality beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. And, don't be stingy with the salt and the electrolytes, and get a good night's sleep. And just keep going. It will get better. It will get better.
Yeah, I'll second that on the electrolytes. Definitely start supplementing with those. And I'll shout out Nia, because if you don't want to pay the big money for them, she's broken it down where she has videos on how you can make them yourself. But I would also say, if you're coming from standard American, like I came from keto and I still had adaptation symptoms for about 3 weeks. So if you're coming from standard American to carnivore, it's going to take your body some time. You don't get fat adapted, instantly. And you're probably going through some carb withdrawal, which is definitely going to make you feel pretty crappy until your body kind of that switch flips, and then it will start to go the other way. I wish I could give you a date. I really wish I could, but I would say stick to it. Try the electrolytes. I've also heard the pickle juice thing that Brett said. I didn't personally try it, but I have heard several people say, that helped them during that initial, transition.
I agree with that. Both Brett and Christy. I think one additional thing is just upping your fat intake, kind of like we talked about earlier. I feel like when you often come from the standard diet or another way of eating, you undereat the fat, and then you might feel a little bit tired as well, or lethargic. So I think for me, the biggest thing to add is just adding the fat too, because I did not eat enough at the beginning too.
Yeah, I think those are all great tips. And yeah, I mean, 3 days is great, but you're only on day 3, it's gonna, like everybody's said here, it's gonna take some time. And for me, it took kind of a long time. And I think even because I had been on the diet before, so I kind of knew, what it was. But the first time I was on it, I had slowly cut things out over years. So really the last thing that I had cut out before I was completely carnivore was just salad. So I wasn't having any bread, no pasta, no grains, no other added sugars, no cruciferous vegetables, no fruit, nothing else, just a giant salad and meat and like olive oil and I think olives and bell peppers and cucumbers were the only vegetables I was still consuming. I'll be right there, my babes. So that was, the first round. I didn't really have more than a couple weeks of transition symptoms, but this time coming off of a not so great diet, sorry, I gotta go help her here. It took me about 6 months, and you can check out some of like my update videos on my channel to see more about that. But it can take some time definitely to get fat adapted. So yeah, you'll get there. And I think electrolytes would be the biggest thing for, the first few weeks that are really going to help you out, because you're probably going to the bathroom a lot, shedding a lot of water. You're going to continue to shed inflammation. And with that, a lot of electrolytes leave your system. And so it's important to keep those replenished. And I just made an updated video last week about how to make your own at home for much cheaper than like buying the Element packets if you want, but in the like very similar, same ratio. So, okay, someone else talk for 4 minutes while I go help my baby, and I'll be right back.
I don't know if I can do 4 minutes, but I want to share. Somebody put in the comments to download an app called Flip, F-L-I-P-P. So I just did, and it's so cool. That's why I was a little distracted here. So
That's a cool app.
You can track meat, chicken, bacon. Like you put in what you want to track, and you mark what all your local stores are that you like to go to. And then you can watch the sales. It's amazing. I'm joining the electronic age, apparently, at the age of 50.
I've never heard of that app before. I'm gonna have to download it myself.
I know, everybody get on your phone right now and download it.
You're flipping, everybody.
Yeah, it's super cool because you can check when the sales are happening at what stores.
Because that, for me, I don't remember prices, and being able to check and see if I'm at one store to see what it's at another store is just so convenient. That would be really wonderful.
Nia, do you have the Flip app? That's what Cammie was talking about.
No, but I saw
The
that
comment
comment come
earlier.
through, and I thought that's brilliant because I'm about to make a video about this too. Just some shopping and affordability tips, but I use sorry, I'm
She is such a good mom. I love her.
I use like all of my individual grocery store apps, and because you can get better deals. So this is a sneak preview for everyone watching for my tips for affordability. But it's not just about keeping track of the weekly sales, but it's about like the special deals you get for using the app. Because a lot of times you'll get digital coupons that you wouldn't get otherwise. And you can earn points. And then when you get enough points, you get coupons or like just straight money off of like meat department or total, you spend $100 and you get $10 off or something like that. So I really get into those. But I'm like kind of nerdy about those apps. I will definitely get this one and see, because it'd be nice to have like one dashboard, of like all the different stores that I look at regularly. So that's a great tip. Thanks.
And JT at the meetup, he did a video where he showed somebody had brought like pork chips, basically, that they had dehydrated. So I went out and bought a pork loin. I cut it super thin and I dehydrated it. I put salt on it. And we have downed like 10 pounds of pork chips. It is the best. So good. And then I had, right before we did that, I had freeze dried a big block of cheese and then turned it into powder. So we put that powdered cheese in there, shook it up, and it's basically like cheese coated potato chips, but made out of pork and cheese. And it's so delicious.
Awesome. Glad you were watching the video, because it tastes just like Lay's potato chips. You got to get it really thin though.
So good.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I didn't see any other questions. Did I miss anything that you guys saw that you wanted to put up?
No,
here?
but I just wanted to tell Jackie that I second that. I really enjoy being able to eat salt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have final thoughts, trends, fads, the movement moving forward, positive outlook? Right. I'm optimistic. I think that, it's a surprise one. I'm optimistic. I think that results do speak for themselves, and I think that that's the beauty of what we have with technology. I know I have sort of a love-hate relationship with it about, there's definitely a dark side to all of this, but this, like what we're doing right now, is the beautiful side, in my opinion. We're all from different states, different parts of the world, chatting tonight, and we're all able to support each other and share our stories. And we all just, we're continually meeting new people and who are passionate and about helping and spreading this information. And I think if I had to summarize my feelings on it, the truth sets you free, and whatever the truth is will prevail regardless of, the extraneous circumstances, the powers that be, the uphill battle sort of that it looks like we're facing. And so if we are on the side of truth, so to speak, we don't have to worry about it, because it will just naturally, organically spread. It's really helping people and changing people's lives long term. And so that's why I'm optimistic. And that's why I love doing this on Thursdays, because I get to chat with all you awesome people who are out there doing the work, and trying to be an example and be an inspiration for others. to find this information and to try it and to have someone to relate to. And so I appreciate everybody taking your time here as guests tonight, and also everybody who's been chatting with us and anyone watching in the future. Thank you so much for your participation and voting in the polls and putting your feedback in there. That means a lot to me, and it really helps keep me going as far as being a creator and putting things out as well, because we're building these relationships, and that's so important. So that's kind of my final thoughts. Anybody else have a comment before we sign off for tonight?
It's fun to see little fads run through the carnivore community within itself, like the butter bacon. I saw like 3 other people make that, so I'm like, I'm gonna do that. So that's fun to watch our own little fads run through.
Mm-hmm.
That's so true. We didn't really talk about that, but there are like the fads within the sardine thing and the stick of butter thing and that's so true.
It's definitely a fad diet. Nia, you just hit what, 20,000 subscribers? You're blowing up.
Yeah.
Everybody wants in.
Yeah, thank you.
Go Nia, you're awesome.
Yeah, it's good, and I enjoy what I'm doing, and just trying to create what you guys want to see and what's helpful. So that's awesome.
You got your
Anybody
100.
else? What's that?
I said do that 4 more times and you got your 100,000.
Yeah, doubles, right? Or 4 more times. Yeah. 4 more 20s.
Yeah, and I think, everybody's sharing their story, which I think is just, it's a brave thing to do, because there's a lot of, like we said, we're going up against the grain. But I think that everybody sharing their own story will kind of touch a different person, or like impact a person differently than somebody else would. So I think, that's the beauty of sharing everybody's stories. Is somebody is going to find that your story is inspirational. It's going to help them, and maybe other people. So it's kind of almost like a grassroots effect, like we were talking about earlier. It's just one person starts it, then several other people start it, and then they spread all of that knowledge to other people. So I think just share your story if you're willing to. I was super shy starting on YouTube stuff, and I think, Carnivore's helped me build my confidence a little bit. And so, if you can just start sharing your story, I think that's the best way to share the message, even if practicing with your own family and friends. I think that's a big stepping stone for me too, is just I started talking about it with family and friends, and especially, they're really important people in your life, and just you want to see them healthier. So I think just sharing your story is the biggest impact that you can have, is sharing it, and so that other people can maybe start the diet.
Agree with all of that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think this is going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And if anybody in the chat has thought about starting a YouTube channel, just get out there and start it, and start spreading the word. I did it back in August, and now I have 1,000 subs that I just hit. So so things are going good. And I also had an idea for a video that I wanted to share with everyone, because I'm about spreading the word. I've been catching up on this TV show, and they play commercials because I'm watching through a streaming service. Every commercial is a drug company. Every one. So what we need to get our word out there is we need carnivore commercials. I mean, how great would it be to turn on network television and see someone talking about the carnivore diet on a carnivore TV commercial? Now, I know we can't do that where we are right now, but we have the power in YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and X and all that. And if you wanted to use that idea to film a carnivore commercial, go for it. I think it'd be great to see what we all come up with to make a carnivore commercial. So I thought about taking one of these drug commercials where they talk about all the little side effects and kind of flip it on its head and make it into a, you know, if you do carnivore, you can keep from these things from happening. 'Cause you don't
Yeah.
have to take these drugs. So you're not going to have, you know, all the horrible side effects they talk about when they, you know, you can have eczema, you know, or you can have anal leakage. You know, it's like, well, what, and bleeding eyes and whatever else happens, you know,
Yeah.
you can take this
Increased
pill
risk
and
of
not be
death.
itchy. It's like, I think I'll just be itchy.
Life's all about choices, Brett. I don't know what you're complaining about.
Yeah. Side effects include healing from everything, and just have some
Healing
guy
from
like talking in a low, super fast voice, but list like all the benefits. That's a, we
You are
should, we should
on.
just,
That's
we should
it.
do a video like that.
That's
That'd
it.
be funny.
So
That's awesome. Okay, well, I think we did a nice long one tonight. So thanks everybody for sticking in for the full 90 minutes. So appreciate y'all, and we'll be dropping a new poll for the topic for next week. I already have an idea. So we'll be doing that again next Thursday. So thanks everybody. Have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
all right.